Welcome to This Week in Astrology. This is episode number 564 for December 14 through 20, 2020. A Sagittarius solar eclipse aligned with a Grand Cross starts the week, followed by Saturn and Jupiter entering Aquarius to prepare for their historic Great Conjunction. We also have Chiron turning direct. And we have so much major stuff going on, we're not going to do any bonus aspects this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm your host, Benjamin Bernstein, broadcasting from thisweekinastrology.com. I simultaneously record these weekly forecasts as an audio podcast and a video, so you can choose whichever format you prefer. The video version includes detailed chart graphics, which you can also see in my written forecasts at astroshaman.com. We're honored to be one of the internet's top 10 astrology podcasts. Check out our website where you can hear the show and subscribe to podcast updates. And if you have not already, be sure to click the link in the show notes for 2 chances to win a free Astrology Plus session with me each month. Coming into this week, we have a waning moon, Chiron retrograde through December 15th, Uranus retrograde through January 14th. We have a Grand Cross running through March 18 with Vesta, Neptune, and the lunar nodes, and the version of that Grand Cross, including the Sun, through December 19th. So let's get on to our new events. On Monday, December 14, that solar eclipse lines up at 11:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 23 degrees 8 minutes Sagittarius. The moon will completely obscure the sun in Chile and Argentina. A partial solar eclipse will be visible in Bolivia, Brazil, Ecuador, Paraguay, Peru, and Uruguay. This eclipse is strong partly because the luminaries are so close to the south node, only about 3 degrees away. This eclipse is also empowered because it aligns with a powerful Grand Cross. More on that in a moment. For starters, a solar eclipse is a new moon, but a very powerful new moon, since its effects last 6 to 12 months. A new moon in Sagittarius is great for new or renewed activities represented by this archetype. As I noted in my November 21st forecast for the sun entering Sagittarius, these include questing and adventuring, the wisdom giver, aka the professor of philosophy or guru, the advanced student, religion, philosophy, and the meaning of life, luck, foreign countries, long-distance travel, people and influences from other cultures, joy, euphoria, and exuberance. Aspects. This solar eclipse lines up with the Grand Cross I've repeatedly mentioned over the last few forecasts. This Grand Cross holds huge potential for soul-aligned compassion, unconditional love, and service to a higher cause. Vesta represents support for a higher cause that does not directly benefit you. Neptune radiates unconditional love and compassion. The lunar nodes represent life purpose, plus they're in the axis of communication, North Node in Gemini, South Node in Sagittarius. This suggests that part of your service to this cause might include spreading the word about it. Learning more about it is also supported. Other aspects. A trine from Mars in Aries smoothly adds the power of the warrior, pioneer, or entrepreneur to your solar eclipse initiatives. A tight semi-sextile from Pluto adds power and the potential for wealth. Although wealth could be money, it could also be anything at all that you value. This solar eclipse also features a tight sesquare from Uranus. Take this as encouragement to be your authentic self, follow your intuitive hits, and serve others using your special gifts that you most love to use. The Sabian symbol for this solar eclipse is a bluebird. A sign of good luck and happiness is standing at the door of the house. Sabian symbols don't get much more blatantly positive than this. I imagine that the bluebird is standing just outside the door, inviting you to wing off to some new adventure. This image reminds us that there's always hope, even in challenging times like these. Change always opens the door to new opportunities. You have a solar eclipse in Sagittarius, fresh energy in astrology's most optimistic sign, and a bluebird of happiness chirping at your door. What life-affirming new initiatives are you putting into motion? On Tuesday, December 15th, Chiron, the wounded healer, turns direct at 4 degrees, 56 minutes Aries. He turned retrograde on July 11th at 9 degrees, 26 minutes Aries. As I wrote on July 11th, Chiron retrograde was a great time to consider how effectively you're working with your emotional and psychological wounds. Many people find my free healing invocation helpful for this. You can also reflect on how well you're serving others as a wisdom giver and or healer. Now that Chiron's direct, it's a great time to begin acting on the insights you've gained regarding these themes. Check your natal chart for any sensitive points between 2 and 8 degrees in the cardinal signs. Those are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Chiron can affect these powerfully as he stations direct, especially if any of these sensitive natal points represents relationships. Thursday, December 17th, Saturn enters Aquarius at 12:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is his second foray into Aquarius this year. He first entered on March 21st and then retrograded back into Capricorn on July 1st. He re-enters Aquarius today on December 17th and remains all the way through March 7 of 2023. By the way, Saturn spends about 2.5 years in each sign and takes almost 30 years to circle the zodiac. Most people associate Saturn with Capricorn. Indeed, the planet and sign have identical keywords, but Saturn is also the ancient ruler of Aquarius. At first blush, it might seem difficult to reconcile conservative Saturn with radical Aquarius, but there are always ways to make them play well together. Saturn can masterfully structure physical reality, but cannot see beyond it. However, Aquarius is a transpersonal energy that includes intuitive flashes. So a great way to marry these energies is to let your intuitive flashes set the agenda. You can then use Saturn's gifts, including management, organization, planning, and implementation, to bring your Uranian visions into physical manifestation. Why lead with Uranian intuition? Because it comes direct from your higher self. It created your human self and always knows your optimal course of action. It's like getting a text message from God. Lesser known meanings of Aquarius include outcast and exile. As long as the pandemic makes physical distancing prudent, you can use Saturn in Aquarius to voluntarily create an optimal structured exile. Finally, I found lots of juicy Saturn and Aquarius themes in Ren Butler's awesome book called The Archetypal Universe: Astrological Patterns in Human Culture, Thought, Emotion, and Dreams. The following phrases are actually from his section on Saturn-Uranus aspects, but Uranus and Aquarius share the same keywords, and I chose the phrases that felt relevant for Saturn's transit through Aquarius. As always, I draw from Ren's work with his generous permission. So Saturn in Aquarius can bring forth the energies of responsible and balanced freedom, careful change and innovation, cautious experimentation, freedom through structure, liberating routine, hard-won liberation, liberation in increments, conscious and deliberate freeing of oneself, the inability to hold rigid positions or stay stuck permanently, remaining unfazed by any extreme, limitations on freedom, fear of change, giving form to new ideas, a change of direction by those in authority, old things resurfacing in a new way or with new impact, attempts to stop progress. Saturn in Aquarius can also energize these classic polar opposite themes: tradition and progress, authority and rebellion, conservatism and change, age and youth, security and adventure, the classical and romantic impulses, materialism and idealism. Saturn's entry into Aquarius is just the beginning. Jupiter enters Aquarius in 2 days, and the world-changing Jupiter-Saturn Great Conjunction shines forth 2 days after that. We'll get into that on our next podcast. It's all in the December 16 to 31 forecast if you want to read that online already. So check that out if you want to preview before you wait for next week's podcast. Let's get on now to Saturday, December 19th. Jupiter enters Aquarius at 8:07 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. After 5.5 months, Jupiter will enter Pisces on May 13th. Then he'll retrograde back into Aquarius on July 28th, flow back into Pisces 5 months later on December 28th. This interpretation will focus mostly on the archetypal effect of Jupiter's transit of Aquarius, but it's worth noting that these Aquarian effects will be stronger than usual next year. This is because Jupiter will be square or quintile Uranus during most of 2021. Uranus and Aquarius carry the same astrological energy, which will dramatically increase this archetypal influence. Not only that, Jupiter will conjoin Saturn to form a historic great conjunction in 2 days on December 21st. This will add a whole new layer of meaning. I mention all this to drive home the following point. What I'm about to tell you about Jupiter in Aquarius is true, but it's far from the whole Jupiterian story that will be unfolding. For a deep dive into next year's extraordinary astrological influences, I invite you to check out my free 2021 astrology forecast lecture. That's in the show notes, or just go to astroshaman.com, go down to the 4th section, and you'll see it there among the blog posts. Any planetary sign can express in challenging or flowing ways. Human psychology being what it is, people tend to remember the last thing you said. So I'll start with the challenging possibilities and end with the more uplifting ones. Big thanks once again to my friend and colleague, Ren Butler. I'm once again borrowing ideas from that amazing book of his, The Archetypal Universe, Astrological Patterns in Human Culture, Thought, Emotion, and Dreams. Specifically for this, I selected these from the Jupiter-Uranus section. This makes archetypal sense because Uranus and Aquarius do have the same keywords. So let's get into the shadow qualities of Jupiter in Aquarius. Manic and impulsive, excesses, going too far, intolerance of any level of structure or commitment, unrealistic urges for freedom outweighing everything else, unwillingness to cooperate, flippant arrogance, unbridled eccentricity, an unreliable and impractical nature, ongoing wanderlust and impatience, irresponsible or ineffective rebellion, shallow or incomplete rebirth, false breakthroughs, flash in the pan delusions, attraction to get rich quick schemes, pie in the sky over optimism, fool's gold, religious or new age ideals promising liberation without effort or pain, potential for hubris and overweening pride, a Christ complex, cravings for glory, delusions of genius, philosophical conflicts, philosophical or intellectual elitism, self-righteous genius. So, what about the positive potentials of Jupiter in Aquarius? Dramatic breakthroughs and quantum leaps, rebirth and awakening, surprising resolution of problems, unexpected openings and opportunities, expanded horizons, changes of fortune or philosophy, incurable and infectious optimism. A quote from Alexander Pope, "Hope springs eternal in the human breast." By the way, Alexander Pope has Jupiter trine Uranus in his natal chart. Other keywords, heightened aliveness, access to new layers or realms of experience, transcendence of petty problems and attachments, urges to share your light, the light at the end of the tunnel, a eureka moment, feelings of universal redemption, collective epiphanies and awakenings, breakthroughs that benefit everyone, everything around you coming vibrantly alive, higher emancipation, freedom for all, the idea that the truth shall make you free, maximum liberation, moments of genius or brilliance, divine inspiration, creative frenzy to become as God, flashes of greatness, ascendancy of the liberal, humanitarian, and progressive impulses, and surges of cultural flowering. The Jupiter in Aquarius positive potentials may sometimes require significant effort. During times like these, it's more important than ever to remember that the bigger the challenge, the bigger the potential breakthrough. Let me tell you right up front, I just added an event to Awakening Plus on Monday, December 21. It's the Great Conjunction Aquarian Age Meditation. I'll have more on that shortly. Everyone is welcome to participate in many Awakening Plus Zoom calls for free. These events support your individual healing and awakening, as well as global spiritual awakening. Starting this month in December, there are some private events for Awakening Plus members only, but you can easily become a member with our 30 days for $1 risk-free trial membership. Here are the December events scheduled so far. We have free public events every Thursday called New Earth Support Team. That's at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. In this popular weekly event, we create our sacred container, invoke embodied awakening, and team up to help awaken the new Earth. Our intention is always the same, but the divine keeps it fresh by providing endless variations on this amazing experience. Thankfully, one thing is always consistent: the personal spiritual upgrades and profound bliss we always receive. These last an hour or more. Also, we have an event on Tuesday, December 15th that was private, but I have changed it now to a free public event. Again, divinely directed, Tuesday, December 15th, 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. This call is directed by Spirit's in the moment guidance to serve each person's highest good. That'll last 60 to 90 minutes. Next is a members only call that we're now doing twice monthly community support calls for our members. This next one is Wednesday, December 16 at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. In these community support calls, we hang out, get to know each other, and support each other in large and small groups. That'll last about 90 minutes. And then that free public bonus event I mentioned at the top of this section, the Great Conjunction Aquarian Age Meditation on Monday, December 21. Note the unusual time, 12:44 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. This meditation will help support the blossoming age of Aquarius. We'll start at 12:44 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, creating our sacred container and invoking embodied awakening. Then we'll offer ourselves in support of the final buildup to the historic Jupiter-Saturn Great Conjunction at 1:20 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. At that time, I'll lead the group through the meditation protocol described at globalpeacemeditation.com. We'll follow divine guidance after that, and we'll close with discussion and Q&A. This is one of the most powerful astrological events of the decade, and we'll be joining a huge number of others meditating at the same time in support of this world-shifting event. The energy should be spectacular, and I expect this to last around 90 minutes. And then we have another free public event, Intuitive Reiki Healing with guest presenter Lorraine Jones. That'll be Tuesday, December 22nd, 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. The benefits you could receive from Lorraine Jones' Intuitive Reiki Healing event are practically limitless. Possibilities include healing, clarity and peace, joy, enlightenment and empowerment, stress reduction, and relaxation. This subtle but powerful process could help you heal physical, emotional, and karmic challenges, as well as blocked, stagnant, or imbalanced energy flows. Your energetic and subtle bodies can be cleared, balanced, repaired, and energized. This will help your life force energy flow in a more healthy and natural way. Lorraine will help you connect with divine spirit, your higher self, and your guides. This will support whatever healing serves your highest good and the highest good of all affected by this magical process. Awakening Plus features at least 8 live streaming events each month. Many live events are open to everyone for free. The archive of over 280 transformative events and enlightening course content, as well as community support, which includes twice monthly community calls, accountability partners, and the forum, are available exclusively to Awakening Plus members. You can learn more or start your 30 days for $1 risk-free trial membership at awakeningplus.com. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, I'm Benjamin Bernstein with astroshaman.com and awakeningplus.com. I can serve you with astrology readings, shamanic healing, awakening activation, astrological event timing, and one-of-a-kind life coaching. All my one-on-one services are equally effective in person or long distance. And during the pandemic, I've dropped my rates significantly. I also offer an unbeatable price on SolarFire, the #1 astrology software for Windows. And as I mentioned, I run the Awakening Plus online membership for spiritual support. You can learn about all this and more at astroshaman.com. And all the links I mentioned are in the show notes. To see them, go to astroshaman.com/564. Please reach out if you have any questions. My email is astroshamanbenjamin@gmail.com. My number for voice and text, 828-338-9852. I'd love to connect with you. We are wrapping up. Please leave me a rating, review, or comment wherever you're getting this episode so others who also love astrology and spirituality can find it. Thanks again for spending this time with me. Stay safe, stay healthy. I wish you infinite blessings as the stars light your way.